Welcome back, everyone, to World in Flames and Days of Decision, where we combine World in Flames 5th edition with Days of Decision 3 with duct tape and pasted chewing gum, MacGyvering it to. We will follow every turn until the bitter end. We take you now to the world stage, where the calendar reads early 1937, actually mid-1937. And peace, though intact, grows thinner by the day. In our last report, the great powers moved cautiously, but with unmistakable intent. Germany, acting more than perhaps any other country, strengthened its position through new economic agreements, extending its reach not by force of arms, but by contracts and commerce. Italy, meanwhile, chose a quieter path to influence. In the Balkans, a covert operation in Yugoslavia shifted the political balance sharply towards the Axis camp. Let's go over to the board and track these developments. Not with gunfire or revolt, but with pressure applied behind closed doors. No civil war followed, but Yugoslavia has shifted as one government fell and a new one took power. It used to be right between, closer to the Democratic camp, and also between the Democratic and the Socialist camp. Now it's between all three of them, which gives the fascist camp a chance to have a voice in the politics of Yugoslavia. Elsewhere, the world watched, really. France, Japan, and the United States continue to prepare their industries and armaments for a future non-would-yet name. Spain remains unresolved, but it is very neutral. Its fate could be determined by unrest at any time. Only a handful of decisions have been made over the last two turns, but we return to the war table where new bids will be placed, new choices weighed, and the next step of history decided. One political move at a time. Will there be a greater conflagration in the world this time? Probably not. But may become how it becomes inevitable. Anyway, welcome to the stream. Let's have a look. I have already, of course, planned the bids and the options that might be played. And we will now see how that's going to work out. The initiative order will be, as I look at the political map here, Japan is bidding, oh dear, we have bids here. The USSR bids 7. Japan bids 5. Commonwealth bids 4. Bets 4 bid points. Germany bets only the 1. Italy and the US 2 each. France 3 and China 1. Now, adjusted with the bonuses, we will have an initiative order looking like this. The USSR with 7 bid points bet and a bonus of 1 gets 8 and will go first this time. Japan, I am wrong. Japan has a 5 plus 3. That is also 8, and Japan has the initiative because they have the same political efficiency, but Japan had the initiative over the USSR last time, over Russia, so Japan will go first. Commonwealth gets 4 plus 2 equals 6, which is the next highest, so they will be third. Then we have Germany, has 1 plus 4 is 5. Could have bet 2 and got them to go before the Commonwealth, but they did. Italy bets 2 plus 3 is also 5. Germany has a higher political efficiency, so we'll go first. Okay, we'll have to. And then we will have the US gets 2 plus 2 is 4. France bets 3 plus 1 is also 4. France has the higher political initiative, and so will go before the US. France desperately needs an election. And finally, China, of course, betting 1, having a bonus of 0, so a total of 1. Quite the leap there between the 4 of the US and France and the 1 for China. Alright, we will start immediately with the political turn, and it is Japan first. Japan, which has bet 5 bid points, it only had 3 bid points. So 0 there, and I'm going to take 3 money from it as well. No, 2 money, in fact. So it'll be at 0 money. And Japan will play... Can anyone guess? Can anyone guess? Could it be? Yes, it could be. The Beijing Bridge incident. It will cost 2 money for Japan. 2 yen. Quantum Army starts limited war in China. So we'll pay 2 more money from Japan's cash box. And there will be reactions to this all around the world. This is 1937, so that is 13 points of US entry right there to Japan. So we're going to be at 26 there in total. Let me do the calculations here. I have my sheet up. There we go. So that's going to be a +4 now to Germany, a -3 to Italy, and a 10 to Japan. Which means that Congress reacts very poorly to this. Several debates will be held in the Senate regarding this new aggression in the Pacific. There will also be some... It's a minor... What do we call it? We call it a special military operation. Isn't that the parlance of the 2020s? If we break the timeline a bit. The Netherlands will have a -1 to Japan. Which is not surprising, because the Dutch East Indies are right next door. Portugal will have a +1. Not sure why that happens historically. But maybe they're like, yeah, go Japan. You should definitely also be a colonial power or something. Make your guesses in the chat. Siam gets a +1. And that is definitely because of the whole talk of a co-prosperity sphere in Asia. So that's going to be +3 to Japan right there in total. And +3 is, incidentally enough, to drag Siam out of the central neutral sphere. So I'm expecting Japan to activate Siam. And then, yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, Japan is now at limited war with China. The Chinese production multiple increases, of course, 1 step, because it says China. And that means that we're going to have right. It's 7 factories, so it's going to be like 4 production. There we have it. Yep. This made some headlines, didn't it? Let's have a look at the headlines, shall we? Alright. Tokyo claims a provocation. Reports from North China confirm an armed incident near Peking. Because in 1937, the Western media would call it Peking. Rapidly escalating. All of that just because of a bridge. Exactly. I have a feeling that it would have happened somewhere regardless of... let's just say that they were very happy it happened. Rapidly escalating local tensions between Japanese forces and Chinese defenders. Tokyo describes the clash as an unacceptable threat to stability and insists its response is defensive. The Chinese officials reject the accusation, arguing that the incident is being used as a pretext for wider intervention. Foreign diplomats fear the truth of the spark matters less than the momentum it creates. For now, the conflict remains limited, but language coming out of Tokyo suggests it may not remain so for long. So, yes indeed, it is time for Japan to activate a minor country, and it's going to be Siam because +3 to Siam is just too juicy to not activate. And we have ourselves Siam right there, right smack dab in the middle, as I mentioned. And a +3 to Japan means that it will go one step towards Japan, very surprisingly. Then we have -2 to France. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess that's going to be there. 8. Boom. -1 to the Soviet Union doesn't do anything, unfortunately. Oh, there's +1 to the US, which also does nothing. So those are burned. Siam thus takes decisive steps after consultations on the top level between the Japanese embassy and the Siamese government, indicating that Japan has nothing but goodwill towards the Siamese people. That's gotta be how they spin it, right? Alright, let's see. I'm gonna remove this terrible die because it has been treating us horribly for a while now. I'm gonna exchange it. What happens if I clone it? Will the plague continue? Will it help if I make it black? Like a black dye. Here we go. Maybe that's gonna make a difference now, so we can get a nice and long... What? I didn't do a... First of all, I didn't roll. Second of all, I made it black, not red. Let's make it... What? Why did the... What's... Wait, what? It's transparent? Color tint? I thought I made it black. Okay. But it's transparent now, for reasons. That looks so weird to me. Why is it... Color tint. Black. Apply. Okay, so if I do it that way, it actually becomes black. Okay, that wasn't a roll. That wasn't a roll. Now comes the roll. Japan will roll to see. I made it transparent, yes. If the turn ends or not. And we're trying to break the curse here of political turns ending way too early. That's a 10. That means that it definitely doesn't end. So, the turn goes to the Soviet Union. Will we see the Soviet Union invade Japan in response? No, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, we will not. Instead, Russia plays the purge, which might not be so very surprising. Moscow purges the officer corps. The Soviet government has announced a sweeping purge of senior military leadership, presenting the campaign as necessary to state security and internal unity. Arrests and removals have reportedly reached into key commands, accompanied by stern warnings about disloyalty and hidden enemies within, Trotskyist elements. Observers abroad are divided. Some argue that the purge will strengthen Stalin's control and prevent internal collapse. Others warn it may cripple Soviet operational capacity, just as international tensions rises. For Moscow, the choice is stark. Better a weakened army than an uncertain and disloyal one filled with Trotskyist elements. Okay, so we had the USSR bidding a lot this time, 7 in fact. So we're gonna deduct that from the total pool here. They still have 4 left. There's a lot of political oomph left there. It costs them, I believe, 2, wasn't it? I think it was 2. It was 3 even. Cost them 3. So Russia money's at deficit levels now. And the effects are Russian political effectiveness increases by 2 because nobody dares to say anything bad to Stalin anymore. In real life, that's not quite how it works, but this is a game, said the political scientist. Alright, destroy your 3 best on-map Russian infantry, and Tukhachevsky is gone. Of course, I don't even know if Tukhachevsky is in the force pool here, but the 3 best infantry corps will be infantry units. They are not corps, they're armies. That's a 6-3, and that's a 6-3, and that's a 5-3, so those are definitely done. See, all the Trotskyists were in Siberia. And why did I do that? Why did I do that? Oh no. That was a stupid mistake. I hope I have another 6-3 somewhere. Come on, I have another 6-3. They're supposed to be in the force pool, not just erased from the world. Ah, thank goodness. Okay, so clone and clone yet again. They're not erased from the world, they're just in the force pool. There. Now, we're gonna remove one more unit. 5-2 is not the best we have. 5-3 is not bad. 5. Oh, look at that! It's another 6-3. That made life easier, like the choice easier. So all the 6-3s are gone, and we'll have to be rebuilt from scratch. Almost like we could see this coming. All right, there will be some international reactions to this, of course. Austria likes it when Soviets kill each other, apparently. Little do they know what's going to come. I guess I could put a +2 in the Baltic states, even though there isn't a whole lot of point to it, because the Baltic states don't have resources or armies or anything. In this edition of the game, Bulgaria -1. The Bulgarian government have long held a close relationship with this Russian or Soviet one. So we're not surprised. If Serbia existed as a country here, it would be the same thing. Finland -2. Do the Finns know something that the Baltics don't? I think so. I think they do. Do Hungary +1. We're getting a lot of little nudges on minor countries everywhere now. Iraq +1. Does this mean that Iraq is going? Maybe we can sell more oil to these guys. Possibly. Persia also +1, and Poland +1. I can see why Poland goes +1, because when the Russians, the Soviets are busy killing each other, they're not killing Polish people. Unfortunately, it's going to be a short-lived joy, I have a feeling. Romania +1 as well. Sweden -1, Turkey +1, Yugoslavia -1. So that one will go away. I can put it there instead. And clone it and put it here. Look at that. Okay, so we have all these 3 countries together. I missed the Czechs. I missed the Czechs. Ugh. Czechs -1. Oh no. We have to check out the Czechs. Yes, it's a terrible joke. I completely acknowledge that immediately. Alright, so what would be the most prudent use of an activation here for the Soviet Union? A minor country activation. There is nothing the Soviets can do to move any country. The Czechs are on top of France, aren't they? Not on top of France. If we activate it, it will be on top of France. I don't know if that's in the interest of the Soviets, though. The Netherlands has a -2 to France, but the Netherlands are... Oh, the Netherlands are not on the map yet because they're still in the neutral hole. Same thing with the Baltic states. Mess with Austria. Ireland. No, Ireland I think is actually... Yeah, could mess with Ireland. Just pop Ireland into the neutral circle in the middle. Because Ireland has a modifier +2 to the US. Why not? That way the Nazis don't get them, right? So let's activate Ireland. So +2 to the US. No, does it require +3 because it's like the border? So, okay, it's a border. So we need a +3. So we're not going to activate them after all. Ugh. Could activate Turkey just to remove all the modifiers. Austria really doesn't matter much because it's gonna go kaput anyway. We all know that. Austria's out here. Can we do some fun shenanigans with Czechoslovakia that doesn't... No, we can't. Pushing Czechoslovakia up here is 2 points, I guess. But then there's 2 points and it ends up with France anyway. So... decision paralysis, folks. Could activate Hungary. No particular wish to do so. Don't want to activate Romania either as long as... Okay, let's activate Bulgaria to get rid of the -1. That wasn't very inspired, but it was something. And we do have to enter the US entry effect as well, which is a -4. -4. Yeah. So when the US does this, when the Soviets do this, the US feels like they're very much not on a warlike footing. Which makes sense, because it looks like they're thinning out their herd of competent officers, which is exactly what they're doing. So the net US entry will be -8 to the USSR, +12 now to Japan, -2 to Italy, and a +6 to Germany. Remember, we need to get to 81 for any of that to actually matter. Alright, that is the Soviet turn. Stalin has taken an iron grip over the Politburo and the entire Soviet Union. Any last doubts about who runs the show have been eliminated. Let's see if the turn ends or not. I don't think Britain wants it to end, because Britain hasn't done anything. And France doesn't want it to end. Nobody wants it to end, let's face it. And it's an 8, so it doesn't end. Maybe we have, in fact, survived the... I'm not going to jinx it. The Commonwealth! They've been planning to do this for a while now, for sneaky reasons. London draws a northern line. The Commonwealth has issued a formal guarantee of Danish independence, framing the move as a defensive measure intended to preserve peace and deter coercion in Northern Europe. British officials insist the guarantee is not a provocation, but a warning that small nations must not be swallowed by intimidation. Diplomatic reactions are immediate. Some applaud the statements as overdue. Others fear it hardens positions and reduces room for negotiation. Berlin's response has been cautious and non-committal. Britain has not mobilized, but it has placed its name behind a border it intends to matter. So this is, in other words, IPO number 12, guarantee. Denmark's territory is inviolate, PM thunders. So apply half of treaty chart. Treaty chart reduced by 1 for all miners. And it costs $1 to do this. We had the Commonwealth betting 4 this turn to get to do this. They had 6 bid points, they now are down to 2. And it costs, was it 2 money? I think it was 2 money. So -3 in the cash box. No, it's 1 money! I can't remember what I saw 2 months ago. Is this the beginning of Alzheimer's? Who knows? Alright, so treaty chart. Flip. -1. So, making a deal with Denmark, as it were. There we go, Denmark, okay. No, not war, treaty. Okay, we're doing that again. It's the same on both sides for no good reason. Okay, not a problem. We can fix this. Components, cards, custom card, boom. Treaty chart. And then it's going to say that we need to have backside, so we're doing that as a treaty chart as well. Import the whole thing. And here we are. We now have a treaty chart. And I'm going to upscale it. We can see something. Here we go. Denmark. Alright, -1. So it's a +2 to Denmark for the Commonwealth. It's a -2 for the US there. Because the US geared up. Scale it up a bit more. Nothing to Finland, and okay, so -2 to Sweden. Is that how I should read this? It says, yeah, treaty chart at a -1. No, treaty chart now. Reduced by 1. That's not okay. Is that 1 less reaction, or is it? But it says reduced by 1. Okay, so I guess it's -2 to Sweden. Which I am sure nobody will make use of in the near or distant future. Alright, the Commonwealth has guaranteed Denmark. And it won't even move Denmark out of the central area because it needs a +3, and there is no +3 to anyone here currently. It is 2 -2s, but no +3s. So now the Commonwealth has guaranteed the Netherlands and Denmark. France is allied with Poland and Czechoslovakia. I don't think anyone is allied with Belgium at the moment. So Belgium is sitting there and going, help? What about us? There might be more political shenanigans here before noon, before soon, before long. Words are difficult today. Commonwealth does have to activate a minor country. And also we need to do the US entry thing, which in this case is half of the treaty chart. And the treaty chart says Denmark a 2, which means a 1. So the Commonwealth gains 1 US entry. This is the first US entry that the Commonwealth has gotten so far in the game. And it will shift things so that we... it's not that much actually. In fact, only Japan gets to be an 11. That's the only shift really. Alright. Now, what country, minor country, should the Commonwealth activate? We could activate Sweden because -2 is a bit too much. We don't like that. Don't want to activate Denmark because we want to have a +3 there, don't we? Finland, a -2 is not enough to move Finland from the central area there. -2 to the Netherlands. There's a lot of minuses. We could move Czechoslovakia to the French marker. Because why not? That would allow France to join in Czechoslovakia should war happen. So let's do that. We're going to move Czechoslovakia. It was going to happen, regardless. There won't be any shenanigans. I don't know. Shenanigans? What are shenanigans? Nobody knows. -2 Germany. It's going to just pop up there. That's the end result. And now, Czechoslovakia again allied with France. If war breaks out, Czechoslovakia can be aligned to France. Pretty much joined in pretty much immediately. Which France is probably going to feel good about. Alright, we have concluded the Commonwealth action, and we will now roll to see if the turn ends. Germany, Italy, France, the US, and China left. Let's go! I think the turn ends. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, the turn ends before Germany gets a chance to do anything. Very sad. But it was a longer turn than last time, so there's that. Germany bet a single point this turn, which it didn't have, so it comes out of money. But as a comfort consolation, it gets 5 bid points. Italy also, I believe, bet a single point. No, it bid 2 points for no clear reason. It's a +1 then in total. Let's see now. The USA bid 2, gains 2. There is not going to be any difference at all. Who else didn't get to do? France bet 3, gains 3, so again, no difference at all. France still has not had a chance to hold an election and is currently paralyzed. And China getting one, as always. Alright then, we move to reinforcement stage of July, August 1937, and there's going to be some Japanese reinforcements. I can't remember that I've ever built a Japanese paratrooper before, but it's fun to have it there. Japan obviously wants to build its little tanks as well, because the best tanks are the ones who show up, and since China doesn't have tanks, you get the point. So this para is going to be here, we're going to have some infantry here, and they are lovely infantry, will do very nicely in China indeed. Unless they invade somewhere. We'll find out, won't we? The Soviets get 2 infantry corps, which means that they have almost replaced. These are all true Stalinists. None of them are terrible Trotskyites. They've gone through the ideological school in whatever recruitment region where they were conscripted. 5-2 is not particularly useful in the Pacific, so we're going to put this guy over here in Kiev. And we're going to put this guy in Vladivostok, because the garrison here was suddenly very much reduced. Like lots. And I realize these guys are actually out of supply technically, because they're too far away from a HQ and a supply source. So we're going to have to... If we want to do maneuvers with these guys, we're going to have to send something there to... Yeah. Anyway. These guys back in Vladivostok. Words! What are they? Back in Vladivostok. Lots of words. Alright, we have... look at that! An Italian heavy surface group. It is the Littorio and the Vittorio Veneto that are now... The hulls have been constructed. We have a British transport unit, which I am sure they are very happy to see. I'll put it here for now. Who knows if we're going to just turn it into a convoy right away. We have an Italian naval bomber. And then we have some French and German stuff. So, not a lot of builds yet, because it's 1937, folks. But this naval bomber will be very important for Il Duce and his control of the Mare Nostrum. Can I put it in Naples for now? This French unit. Okay, I'll put it in Paris, but we're definitely going to want to put something here in the resource-rich area. We have ourselves another air transport. I'm going to put that one here for now. And a heavy infantry unit, which I'll put in Leipzig, just because I can. It's not like we're looking at Czechoslovakia or anything, folks. Don't worry, Czechoslovakia. It's all just in your head. That's what it is. And that is it. Okay, we're going to have rolling initiative, my friends. Here we go. Initiative for the turn is a 4 and a 3. For once it matters, because we actually have a war to fight, even if it's a limited one. The Axis do not have a +1. The Allies do have a +1. They get a 4. So it is in fact the Allies who have the initiative. They are definitely not going to re-roll that. So allies go first, and allies will roll for weather. And now they want to roll something that makes it very hard for the Japanese to do any shenanigans. Okay, we had May, June, -1 on the roll, so it's 2 in July and August. So we have clear everywhere except North Monsoon, which is in fact monsoon, and there will be 2 permitted land attacks in China, which I think the Japanese are very pleased with, generally speaking. The Allies go first, and there is a grand total of just about nothing that the Japanese can do, except maybe, because this is a 4-3. Do we have anything better here? Nope, 4-2. The 5-2 would have been better. Okay, so if we shuffle these guys like that. So now Beijing has a better defense. That's 2 moves. That's it. That's all they can do. The communists cannot move any closer. 1, 2, 3, 4. They can move here, but I don't see how that helps anyone. The Soviets do want to make some maneuvers in the world here. What kind of maneuvers? We can move the 4-3 here. This one there, which gets flipped because there is no... We need headquarters out here. Koniev. Why do I have a 4-2 and it gets flipped immediately? And 3-2 as well, it's the same thing. They should probably just be marched all the way back to the European theater. You should have all the can move 3 points, because the forest costs 3 to move into. So this one gets flipped immediately by moving like this. So if we want to have a chance to do anything aggressive here, we're going to have to do something about these guys. It's going to take an age. Siberia. Anyway, that's it for the Soviets. The French are going to move their troop up here. See, we moved troops down here to the Spanish border because we were expecting a Spanish Civil War to break out immediately, and it didn't. So now they're just hanging out there and checking out what's happening, and the cruise cell here makes it prohibitively expensive. You'll remember that Italy has spent at least 20 lira money on activating coup cells in different places, and yeah, that's what we got right now. Let's, you know, the French could move those units down to the border, right? France can move 3 land moves on a combined, so let's do that. Let's not forget about units. 1, 2, 3. See, now we have like troops can stare at each other angrily across the bay. And we had the fighter. We have 2 transports. These 2 transports are definitely not going to stay here. 1, 2, 3, 4. As far as they get for now. What's the situation here? We have those convoys. That's fine. We need 1 convoy there. There's a convoy here, but we need 1, 2, 3 to Australia. And we do not have that. We have 1 transport at the moment. So, more transports will need to be built by the British, definitely. It's just the British life. This is going to be a long-term turn, ladies and gentlemen, because it's the summer. So, the Allies are done their first impulse. It's the first Axis impulse. And because it's a limited war, the Japanese will only do combined operations. We can move these guys. Transports can... The air transports have a movement range of 6. So that's 3 on this map. We can go 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let me have a look at the actual sequence of things here. Combined, a limited naval action, which is like 2 units for Japan, yeah, 2 units. And it's units, not stacks, because it's still not officially war. Where are our heavy battleships? Gee. Oh, I put them down here. At least one of them I put down here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's annoying. I should have taken that into better consideration. We could get the Kaga out to do naval aerial actions along the coastline, I guess. It's gonna be a long turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which means that I cannot move these guys. This impulse, and that might not be the best idea I've ever had. So, you know what? We're not gonna move these guys yet. We're gonna move them later. Because it's much faster to deploy them than it is to deploy the infantry. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Infantry there, and according to our combined chart, Japan gets to do 3 land moves. So, oh, 1, 2, 3. And we can now mark both of these transports as used. Of course, before we do the land moves, we should do ground strikes and all that sort of happy sort of thing. But I have no air force with which to do a proper ground strike, because look at that. That's a 5. We need more air force here, definitely. I don't have a strategic bombardment mission to do. Ground strike phase, aircraft or base phase. I don't think I'm going to do a ground strike because I do not want my tactical bomber shot down by the Chinese Air Force, and my other Air Force is terrible. But we will rebase them. Like, now we can do 2 attacks this turn, which is lovely. Land movement phase. And that's what I just did. I landed with units. I moved. So air transport and paragraph phase I can do now. I could just land smack dab here, but then I wouldn't be able to supply because it's on the coastline. That could be a bit funny. But I'd have to fight a nautical unit on 4 to 1, which is a little bit scary, and I would want to have shore bombardment to back that up. 1. Also, I can't reach it because it's too far away. So 1, 2, 3. I can transport these guys to Seoul. That's going to be it for this turn. But at least they're on the mainland now. The paras are paratrooping into Seoul. It's gonna look. I'm sure it looks spectacular as the people of Seoul look up and see all these parachutes coming, as the Japanese are demonstrating their new capabilities in ways that have absolutely no effect on the Chinese. Since I have moved all the units I could move with the Japanese at the moment, that's all she wrote. No attack this impulse. Which is not... It's a long turn. No problem. I think we can rebase these guys here just to have our air forces properly, our paratroopers, Fallschirmjäger, properly prepared. As for other moves, Italy needs to just build a lot of troops, which they haven't been able to do yet, so I don't need to do a whole lot with Italy now. Alright, that was the first Axis impulse, second Allied impulse. What will we do with the Chinese here? There's the threat of the Marines, but not anymore for this turn because these guys have been used. This is the only place the Marines can actually land. So we could move 1 or 2 of these guys. Let's see now. Is China getting a reinforcement next turn? Yes, they are, but it's a communist, so there's nothing to actually plug the gap here. So let's not then. So that means that we can actually do this shuffle, where we move the 4 here and the 5 there. And now we have a 10 defense, which is much better. The Japanese should have acted sooner. But now we have a fully stacked defense here on this resource hex. And there's a whole heck of a lot the Japanese can do about that. As for other allied moves, he said, I guess we can move like that. Yep, that's basically it. Oh, look at that. That one isn't used anymore. Whee! What happened? I picked it up and it flew really far away. Okay. Second Axis impulse. Japan needs to get a move on here. Alright, so let's do that, shall we? These troops will not be getting up here yet. This is like one step for the 8-4. This one only gets there. And this one only gets here. So they won't actually be able to arrive at the front line until next impulse at the earliest. Maybe I should just save these two moving and move these guys instead. I do have my aircraft here now, but it's still horribly outgunned by these guys. So I'm not at all sure that I want to do anything there. But I am pretty sure that I want some shore bombardment in here, which I can only get from 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 points of shore bombardment. And 2 more points of shore bombardment. What can we do with the Kagamakagi? Carrier missions. CV units or naval units must move and fight according to that. Area component to fly, intercept, to support port attack, ground strike, and ground support missions. Well, we like the ground support. It may also intercept or support strategic bombardment missions. It may only fly, intercept, or support if a hex to be attacked is a coastal hex occupied by the CV unit. And it may only fly, intercept, or support 1 mission per game turn. Alright. If the CV uses its air component as a bomber in a ground strike or ground support mission, its air component is halved. Okay, so again, but then I'd have to fight the Chinese Air Force, I guess. Ugh. We hate the Chinese Air Force, don't we? We have 10 in defense here. We have 12 plus 11 plus 13, so that's 35, so it's, oh, I had a 4-1 there as well. That means that this guy can't be here, it has to be there. 35 versus 10, that's 3-1 odds. I could make it 40 for a 4-1 odds without doing if I was to do then it wouldn't be any ground strikes involved, which doesn't give me a +1, very sadly. On the other hand, if I've moved 2, but this guy can move all the way up here. So that would be 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 shore bombardment. And I just need the 1 extra to get a 4-1. So we could do a ground strike, risky, like so, against the Chinese Air Force. Let's do it. Let's go. We are gonna try our level best here. So, the first aerial combat of the game. And it's gonna be a +1 for China. And we have a front bomber, front fighter, and a front bomber. And the Chinese roll first because they are the non-phasing player. That was not a roll. Okay, Kadaka, my friends. On a -1. No, +1, because the Chinese are attacking. +1, and I rolled an 8, which is exactly nothing. Nothing at all. Okay then. Let's clone this. The Japanese are attacking back with a -1. And that wasn't a roll, I just put the dice in the box. Here comes the roll. And it's a 6, which is much worse than a 12. With a -1, a 6, attacker clears through. Okay. Anyone defending bomber. There is no defending bomber in this case. The air fight continues. The Chinese and the Japanese pilots, they are evenly matched in the sky. No one has been able to get the upper hand on the others, and we roll again for the Chinese. I don't think it's the Flying Tigers yet, is it? 6 on a +1. Again, oh no, attacker clears through. The front bomber gets through, which is exactly what the Chinese did not want to have happen, but it happened. The fight will be over soon. It could be worse indeed, it could be worse indeed, yes. It's astounding to me how scary the Chinese Air Force is in this game. That wasn't a roll. Here we go, this is the roll. On a -1. And it's a 9. The Japanese have already achieved their objective this time. That's nothing at all. It's okay. It's fine to not kill Chinese. We would love, as Japanese, the Japanese side would love to kill off some Chinese fighters, but such was not the case this time. So, we do have this ground strike going through. And it's going to be a 3 divided by 2, of course, because it's a ground strike, so it's a 1 or a 2 on the top and a 1 or a 2 on the bottom one. So, let's see. On the top, nothing, and on the bottom, nothing! Yeah, the Japanese tactical bomber pilots prove themselves as useful as always, which means not in the slightest. I'm going to put them over here for now. And nothing happened. So that was sad. Alright, so we have 13. Well, we have 35, right? And I have 2 plus that's 4. And then ground strike 1 more, so that's 5. So we're gonna turn the Japanese Navy upside down. So now we have 4-1 against these guys on an assault, because we don't have any tanks around here, very sadly. But 4-1 should be okay. Let's roll. First attack of this entire campaign, and it is a 5, ladies and gentlemen. It is a 5. Banzai charging in. 5 on a 4-1. That is 2 shattered. Oh my, that couldn't have gone worse for the Chinese. It really couldn't have gone worse. No one is flipped among the attackers. That was... no tanks around here because they... yeah, or at least the tanks are spread out to make support or something, because we haven't even built the Japanese tank army yet. We'll need to. So, yeah, we're gonna move in here with all the troops. Let's see now, what do we have? I guess I'll do that. And none is flipped. Not a single flipped unit. And that is a resource that China can no longer get a hold of. Chinese resources go down by 1. Japanese resources go up by 1, which also means that the production goes up by 1. So the first battle of this World in Flames Days of Decision game has been fought. It was fought between the Imperial Japanese Army and the Chinese, and it was an absolute overwhelming Japanese victory, and Tianjin is in immediate danger, and Beijing might get encircled. I think Chiang feels like he's in trouble. That's what I think. This is bad for the Chinese, for sure. That is also it for the Axis side, I think. I don't think there's anything else in particular to do here. We didn't have to use the Japanese headquarters to unflip anyone. Right now, the Chinese are basically just begging for this turn to end. Now, if you came out of the mountains, you could be here and 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, 1, 2, 3, 4. He can be on this line right here, but not closer. There are no troops, there are no resources in Beijing. There's no particular reason to hold it other than for prestige. Though we do have this air force here that is in danger. There is a resource over here that we don't want to lose. The question is now, the Japanese can move only so many units. This is what saves China right now. The Japanese can't move too many units. We could rail something into Tianjin, like these guys, and just hope that Canton will survive long enough, and put them in closer here to plug some gaps. We have 2 moves. 2 moves is all. The Japanese have used their shore bombardment factors. They still have more shore bombardment factors here. 3. Ooh, I want to check some things. I want to check reorganization rules. Here we go. Action segment. Reorganization phase. Page 22. Double check. Okay, where did that go? Land units, aircraft units. Okay, land units only, not aircraft, naval, or HQ units. That's what I figured. So, 2 moves. How to make the best out of this. Right now there's 2 hexes on this hex, which is also a city, so it would be an assault. I could do... could move 1 4 down here and another 4 into Beijing. That thins the line out up here in bad ways, but I'd rather channel the Japanese forces north so they have to go around and down rather than straight into the belly of China, as it were. Now 12 versus 4 is still 3 to 1, which is bad, but that's all I got. Strategic redeployment. The strategic movement 17. That's the one we were looking at. Okay. There. Major powers moves from one map to the other. Yeah, that's a strategic movement. Do not count against the limit of land moves. Face up. It must start in supply. It may then move through any number of friendly controlled hexes to a friendly controlled port or hex, regardless of the unit's movement. It may not enter an enemy ZOC, even if occupied by friendly units. Okay, so I cannot in fact move this unit in here directly. Very sad. Could move it there, could move it there. And we're definitely going to move it somewhere to plug lines. This is where it becomes enormously annoying because the invasion of the South will come. But there's so many resources here that we do want to keep safe. So, Taiyuan and... No, let's put him here in Sinal. Because if they get through here, then he will actually serve a purpose. Alright. That is... Yeah, the Chinese are having a panic attack, which is not surprising at all for anyone. And that's basically it, I guess, for the Chinese impulse. Nobody else has much in the ways of impulse going on. The French are fine, the British are fine. It's all good here. Which means that we get to the Axis third impulse, and now the turn can start ending on a 1, which of course the Japanese do not want at all. Thank you very much. No siree. 3 moves we have that we can make, and this is a very juicy target, of course. 3 moves is not enough to do everything we want to. On the other hand, this is also a very juicy target. It will trigger US entry because it's a Chinese city. And it would be sweet to be able to surround Beijing from the south. I have 3 units to move. I can move this guy here. And any one of these guys here. So that would be 12 plus 6 is 3 to 1 on the 3-2. Which is okay. Not amazing, but it's okay. And this is the way it is there. That's 2 units moved. Is there anything else I would want to move then? I could move 1 more unit up there. So, unless I want to move, like the 8-4 here is very nice. We want it to be up front. 1, 2. Let's do that, I guess. Now you're going to see how... I'm not shocked about China, not really. But I agree. Now you're going to see that I am not very good at strategy gaming. This is just for funsies, and it makes it more interesting when I suck, isn't it? Okay, I have 12 here. That is 3 to 1 against this. And I can increase that by sending out the last bits of the Navy. No, I cannot. That's really annoying, isn't it? They have 3, not 4. We can do it here, but I don't have anything to do it there with. It's 12, it's 15. It's just 1 left to get a 4 to 1. So, sad. Very sad. What are our odds on Chang here? 9 points in defense. We have 12 plus 12, 24. Against 9. That's not good enough. Not even close to being good enough. And up here we have 12 plus 6 is 18 against 3. That is actually lovely. That's 6 to 1 on the assault table. It seems like a no-brainer, honestly. So let's do that. Let's stomp on the 3, which is exactly what China wanted, I think. It's 6 to 1, it's 5 to 1, same thing. Don't have any particular supports, no bonuses of any kind. It's going to be the second attack of the turn, the last attack the Japanese can carry out this turn, and they roll another 6. Oh my god. This is just, wow. They've just had all the luck. All the luck. The Chinese have now lost 3 infantry corps armies in a single turn, and the Japanese are not even flipped at this point. I'm gonna move in the 7-4 and the 6-4, obviously. And this resource is now in dire straits, obviously. And Hatta hasn't even had to unflip any of the land units, because this is just steamrolling here. Yep. Chiang will have to send a troop out here. Beijing is in super duper trouble. Just to hold the resource away from Japanese clutches. Alright, that was the second Japanese attack of the turn, and they're not gonna get any more attacks. They will take the resource if China can't deny them that, but China will be able to if they get another turn, another impulse. The only way for China not to get that resource under control right now is if the Axis roll out and then get initiative next turn and can just step in there. So I guess that's what the Axis want right now, is for that particular eventuality to happen. There is nothing else that we want to do with the Germans or the Italians, so I guess we will roll to see if the turn ends. And the turn did not end, which means that the Allies will get to do something more. And yeah, Chiang is definitely not going to let that resource be stomped on. So we have one move there. Now we have a line. The Japanese are not allowed to do any more attacks this turn. There is a line as tenuous as it possibly could be, but it exists. And the Chinese are not going to get any help next turn, really, in terms of nationalist reinforcements. It's going to be a communist coming up in Lanzhou. I have a feeling that the Japanese might want to think about using their Marines in some fashion soon-ish. And Canton looks lovely this time of year, doesn't it? Just absolutely lovely. There's also Hainan, which is nice. And this little port here, which is also juicy. So there's a lot of targets for the Japanese. The Chinese have moved. The other powers, I guess I moved the 5-2 here, so I'm just going to move that one into Rokossovsky for no particular reason other than order on the board. And other than that, we're done. Okay. The turn is slowly but surely coming to an end. It was the first turn in this game so far where we've had actual battles. But it's not ended yet, because we rolled a 3, so Axis get another impulse. I think the Japanese will just use it to move troops, really. That's all they can do, isn't it? This guy... Yeah, okay. No point in having this guy up here, because... But we don't have a city to rail it to, so... It will have to wait. 1, 2, still in supply here from Hatta. One step like that, I guess. One step like that. That's 3. That's all the 3 we can move. Unless I want to railroad the 3-2 down to Mukden. Because the 3-2 is a nice unit to just spend when the inevitable 1s and 2s are rolled on the Chinese front. Other than that, not much to say. There is... Yeah, we can't... We have a 3-1 here, but we can't use it right now because it's going to have to be... We're going to step over there and just attack them with 3-1. But I'm going to lose a Marine if I do it. Alright, because 3-1 is not that good odds. We could get more. We can get, if we get enough Navy down here, we can maybe get 6-1, and then we can do it. So that's something for next turn. Cackle, cackle, the Japanese say. The Japanese will need to build more HQs, definitely. I've moved everything that we wanted with the Japanese. It ends on a 1 or a 2. It doesn't end. The Allies get to do another impulse. It's a summer, folks. It takes a while. It takes a while. The Allies... Chiang could go over here. And then because you never know, we might get another. I should have done that much earlier. We might get another impulse, in which case I can unflip this guy. So can't move now, but it can move the next impulse, and that's going to be very useful because we need troops up there. Do we want? Yes. 3-2 is going to move over there. There's no sound of control there, but should I withdraw from Shanghai? No, I should not withdraw from Shanghai, just in case there is a naval invasion. Like, there's less of a problem with a naval invasion in Qingdao right now because that's part of the line anyway. But here, that could wreak all sorts of havoc, so let's not let them have that. Other than that, again, nothing much to say about the Allied side. The French and the British are reading the news from China with abject horror, so are probably the Americans. And some Americans are writing letters to their congressmen because how can we need to help the poor Chinese people. Look at what's happening over there. Yeah. 1 or 2. Doesn't end. It's a summer turn. Axis impulse. The Chinese really want it to end right now because please don't make any more moves in China, basically. So 1 like that, 1 like that, and 1 like that. That's 3 moves right there. After that, they start bolstering their lines even further. Yeah. That's it for... The Chinese are now looking towards the Soviets and saying, please help, please? Which may happen or may not happen. The Soviets would really need to calibrate their forces better than they have right now to be able to make an impact. Huh, okay. We did an Allied impulse, didn't we? So it's another... Right, so it's another Allied impulse. Okay, we did an Axis impulse. It's another Allied impulse. I am really keeping track of things now. Okay. That's actually not bad for China. Let's put this guy here and this guy there. See, we're shoring up the lines a bit. Just in case. Still want something more here. We want this guy up there, but we can only move 2 units per impulse. And let's see if that ends the turn. And there it does. The end of the action segment. And that ended with an Allied impulse, which means that we're going to move this one over here to the middle of the initiative track because the Allied got 1 more impulse than the Axis got. Alright, let's roll for partisans. That is a roll that the Allies will happily make. And I think they want partisans in Manchuria. 4. Partisans. 4. Norway, UK, Hungary, Poland, Italian East Africa, Australia, Manchuria, and China. Look at that. Oh yes. That is like the worst combination. So Italy will have to roll a d6 and roll a 1 to not lose that resource in Italian East Africa. I didn't. That was wrong because I didn't. It has to be a black die. You know the rules. And they rolled a 1. Look at that. So they stomp out the partisan activity in Italian East Africa. And then we had, what was it? Manchuria and China. Manchuria currently has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 units. 5 units at the very least, so... A 6? Okay, does that unit count or not? Partisan activity. I'm not sure that a unit in zone of control counts towards garrisoning against partisans. Do 23. I think it doesn't. Not US interface. One more attack. Yada. Partisans. The specified country is eligible if it is currently conquered. Roll another die. If it exceeds the aggressor's side there may not transport. Yeah. Partisan activity only. All minor countries. Okay, garrison value for each. Yeah, okay. That's. Then it's not. It doesn't. It seems to count. Syria is locked down. China has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units as well. So. Yeah, it's locked down. Everything is locked down. All that partisan activity and nothing to show for it. Alright. US entry phase will actually have an effect because we now have a democracy that is at war with a fascist country. But it's Japanese number 6, so it's a -1 on the die roll. We will roll a democratic green die. Or wait a minute. You can't have green for democracies, right? So let's go for blue for I don't know what reason. And then I'm going to remove that die and I'm going to clone that die there so we can have a proper communist die too, right? Blood red. There we go. Lovely. Okay, so let's see if the US entry will be anything worthwhile here. 7 minus 1 is a 6, which is +1 US entry to Japan. No surprise there, because Japan is doing things in East Asia, in China. So that's a situation. With an effective US entry of 12. Is there any fun US entry actions we can take? I don't know that we should though, because that slows the US entry. Options. There we have it. That's what I was looking for. So, Chinese can build aircraft. You must choose this entry option before China can build any aircraft units. Why not? It's a 3 only for the USA, so let's do it. The Chinese are now allowed to build aircraft. Says US Congress. This means that the US entry is now 17 in total. And we have an effective US entry of 3 to Germany, -4 to Italy, 9 to Japan, and -11 to the USSR. I'm not even sure that the Chinese will be able to make much use of that for now, but it has been cleared, and with Congress, and we'll go with that. Production phase. The United States of America earns $5, is now at a +4. The US needs a lot of stuff. We have some transports. We don't have enough light surface ships, that's for sure. Is there anything that we need to build here? Not yet. Not there. Or money. Transport, light surface ship. Okay, let's do a light surface ship. It makes sense. This is the time to do it, isn't it? So there, we're putting a destroyer group on the face down. The keels are being led down. It's going to take a while for that one to enter into service, and this is why we do it now. And that costs $4. That is one US ship. The Commonwealth, production 6, +4 money now. Has to be a transport, doesn't it? It's either that or a light surface. We have some transports on the way, don't we? We have 2 transports on the way. Okay, let's build a final transport just to have it done. Boom. No more money there. And a transport goes on the spiral. And the Commonwealth is now at 1 ship. Can't afford to build anything else this turn. 7 production. That means that France currently has 9 money. And I think I saw something here in the construction pool. Yes. It's November, December 38, but we can build it now just to get it out of the way. That costs 5 money. It's a French ship. And an infantry, because... There, and an infantry. Because they need all the infantry they can get. Nice! A White Prince 6-3, not too shabby. So the French have built a ship and an infantry. The USSR is at -3 money, +1 now. I guess we will just hold this turn and not build anything, even though we killed a bunch of Trotskyite traitors. We can start over. China now has an actual production of 4 money. Nobody's going to be surprised that it could be an infantry or an aircraft. The aircraft is not a terrible idea because the dominance will really limit the Air Force dominance will really limit what the Japanese can do. So we are in fact going to build that fighter after all. What just happened? What just happened? I don't know what happened. Load file, unsupported format, something, whatever. Okay. I thought there was 2 fighters in there. Very strange. I'm gonna have to check this later. But that is a fighter, and it costs 4. And it will come in one fine day. Might be a mistake. But September, October is coming up, so, you know, bad weather. We'll just hope that it'll be bad weather. If I do that, why not? Okay, I get 1 infantry there. Might be better to wait with the fighter until we actually get worse weather, like next turn. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to keep 1 money left around and build that 1 Chinese infantry, which turns out to be a communist. Which was not at all what we lost this turn. Chiang Kai-shek is not happy. Jiang Jieshi is unhappy with this draw. But, I mean, it's going to be a solid line up in the north eventually, and it's going to help, so not that he can be a chooser, right? He's a beggar, he can't be a chooser. That's just how it is for the Chinese right now. So, yeah, he built an infantry. Alright. For Germany, we have... That's 39, so that's a year out. What about the... That's a while out. Okay. No worries right now. What do we want to build in Germany? All sorts of stuff. We have 14 production, 1 money. We now have 15 money. Let's have a look. We are seriously lacking in infantry, folks. Infantry, tanks, everything. Air Force, we have 1 tank here. That's lovely, but we need more, a lot more. We need more of everything, that's all there is to it. So, let's build more of everything. 1 new armor, here we go. Still not a white print, very sad. 1 new fighter. We're gonna need every fighter we can get. What else? A submarine. Built the ship last turn. So now I've built an armor, and I have built a fighter. Subs take a while to build, don't they? I have only 1 there, 1 more on the way. I'm gonna need tactical air as well. But I think I'm actually gonna build a submarine for this. That one has to be in 39. Oh, let's graph it. That has to be... So it doesn't have to be begun yet. Okay, let's go sub. I'm gonna kill some convoy lines. That's a 4. That's a 4 of money. One very expensive build here, which is the tank. But it has to be done. We need to have those armored core ready to go. Armor here. Fighter and submarine, they take also a long time to get built, which is why we're building them now. So, Germany built a fighter, no ship, a sub, and an armor. Italy is just recovering from previous turns and is now at the +1, yay! But does it have to build stuff? I don't think it has to. No, it doesn't have to. Goodness, that one has to be in 1940. So Italy will build nothing this turn. Japan will definitely build stuff if it can. Japan has 9 production per turn. So that's 7. Money. We need transports. We need fighters. We need infantry. We need everything. We need the tank. And this is actually a good time to build a tank, honestly. How much money do I have? 6, 7. Eee. Okay, let's build a tank. We're building the tank. I want a Japanese tank. Armor. It's the one tank they have. And it will come in for the spring offensive of next year to do bad things to the Chinese. Because the best tank is the tank that is actually present. So now the Japanese have all their specialized equipment for the front lines. And that is the production phase. Return to base phase. Not much in the way of returning to base here. We have a couple of transports there, British transports going back to London. Oh, look at that. 3 transports there. Isn't it nice? I guess I should have set the infantry down to, but we can do that next turn as well. It's fine. We have all the returning to base here. Here's the thing. If I want to do shore bombardment along this line here, I need this guy, but I don't right now, do I? Because it's still this shore here. Ugh, difficult choice to make. Maybe I do want to do some shore bombardment down there. These guys can all return to base Tokyo because we have enough movement points to cover anything we need. And these guys will also return to base in Tokyo because that's where the reinforcements can turn up. Or just to make it easier, we can put them here so we don't clog up the map too much with one big tower. And that is basically all the returning to base we had there. Now we unflip everything that has been flipped as the final action of the turn. It was a dramatic turn. Things happened. And by things, the Japanese slow-moving invasion of China, and with all that entails. I think that was all we had to flip. So, return to base, final reorganization phase, and that is it, my friends. And you have put up with this stream so long, so we're very happy and pleased with that. We are moving on to September, October, and that is where we're going to pick up next week. These turns are going to get longer and longer, and at some point I'm not going to be able to finish a turn in a single stream because I'm like that. But remember to follow, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, ring the bell icon, because that is how you are going to be able to follow this bitter conflict from start to finish, to the bitter end. However this might unfold. We don't know how this might unfold right now, do we? But thank you so much for tuning in. It was great to have you here, and have a great week, everybody, and we will see you next time.